In the last video, we saw that when we used PrintWriter to write to an output file, what it did was it created the file if it didn't exist. But if the file existed, what PrintWriter did was it erased the contents of the file. And then it started writing. So it was erasing the contents. Now, sometimes you don't want to erase the contents. So if I'm writing the grades of my students, every time I have a new assignment, I don't want to erase the old grades. I want to append to it. I want to add to the file. If that is the case, if that's what we want to do, we're going to have to use two objects instead of one object. So instead of PrintWriter alone, we're going to need to use a file writer. And so what we do is we create a file writer object. So we say file writer, some name equal new file writer, and we give the file name there, and then we pass in the flag true. And true here means append. If I was to pass in false, it would mean erase, basically, like what I was doing before. So I create my file writer with the name of my file, and I give it the append flag to be true. And then when I'm creating my PrintWriter object, I don't put the file name in parentheses, I put my file writer. So this file writer object is referring to the file name with the append flag set to true. And then the PrintWriter is referring to this file writer, which refers to the file name. So let's try that together. So here, let's go and write to this Java file. Let's write something to it and verify that it's there. And let's go to it. And let's double check that it's there. So it has some content in it. And now what I want to do is I want to append to it. So to append to it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, what I'm going to do is I'm going to comment this code out so that you have it. And I'm going to copy it and do it again. So here, let's copy all this again. And let's show example of appending to a file using file writer. Okay, so now I need to create two objects. The first object is file writer, and I just always use FW because this file writer that we are going to create, we're never going to refer to it again after this point. So here, this file name is going to go inside file writer. I need to make sure that I put the flag to true. I'm going to show you what happens if I don't put true. And then here, this PrintWriter just refers to my file writer. And that's it. I'm still writing to my PrintWriter. I'm still closing the PrintWriter. Nothing is going to change in that. Okay, so now let's run it again. I didn't pass the true flag to my file writer. So when I go and I look at my file, it still has just the one content. It still erased the old content and wrote it again. And it's writing the same thing because that's what I told it to write. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to modify it now to say true. I want you to append. So here, true is to append. And that's the most important key. You have to put true here. Now let's see what happens when I click that. So now it ran. When I go to my file and open it again, I see that it started appending. It didn't erase the old contents, it wrote after. So the file initially had those 3 lines, it wrote them after. And if I was to run my program a couple times, let's run it 3 times. 1, 2, 3, and I go back to my file, I will find that it has the contents 5 because it had it before twice. Now it has it 3, 4, and 5 times. So this is how you can append to a file by using the file writer object. Now for the classwork, what you're going to do is you are going to write a program that asks the user for a number between 1 and 50. Inclusive means 1 is okay, 50 is okay. So inclusive means including 1 and 50. If the number is not between 1 and 50, you will keep asking the user for a valid number. So here you'll be reviewing how to use a while loop for input validation. After you made sure the number is the good number between 1 and 50, you're going to ask the user for the name of an output file where you want to save the information. I want you to save it in a variable, that file name. I want you to save it in a variable called user output file name, and I'll tell you why in a bit. Now, what you're going to do is write to that file the square of the numbers, starting from what the user entered until 100. So if the user entered 25, you're going to write 25 squared, 26 squared, 27 squared, all the way up to 100 squared. Where are you writing them to? To that file. Okay, so you're going to have to use the print writer to do that. Now, in HackerRank, how will we make sure that whatever you wrote to the file is accurate? Because I can't go and see those files that you're creating. What you're going to do is you're going to add this code at the end of your code. So after you've written all your code and you've tested it on NetBeans on your machine, when you go to test it on HackerRank, I want you to copy those few lines of code and add them at the end of your code. Why? Because what this code is going to do, and I know we haven't learned the syntax, but basically what this code is going to do is going to go open that user output file name, that file that the user asked you to create, and it's going to read it in and it's going to write it out. So it's going to show me what is in that file that you created.